Okay, thank you. Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti, not here, okay. Board Member Mosley,
Yes.
Board Member Richards,
Present.
we have quorum, thank you.
Okay. Okay, great. We will start with public comment. This is for general public comment for anything not on the agenda.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for general public comment. However, if you wish to make a general public comment, you may fill one out and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so, so we will now turn our attention to virtual attendance. And at this time, I do not have any hands raised for general public comment virtually. And we did receive one written correspondence from a Mr. Tom Upton for general public comment. And at that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Okay, next is approval of the minutes from the full board meeting on December 1st.
I have a question. Did I just see that it said that I was absent?
Let's double check. Did you notice it at the top?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Maybe I misread it.
Oh, I think.
Oh, for the motion.
Oh, for these specific motions, because I think you came in late that day.
Yeah, it should say.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, at 3:10, so she missed that.
Oh, at 3:10. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and just let me know when to keep scrolling after you're done reading the motions.
That looks good. Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
I'll second that.
Oh, sorry, we're going down to the other ones.
Okay, to the other ones, okay. I thought that you're done.
You can keep going. Can keep going. Okay, I'll move to approve the minutes as noted for the December 1st full board meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Board Member Richards,
Yes.
Board Member Mosley,
Yes.
Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, next is the approval of the minutes from the consent meeting on December 1st. That looks good. And that's it? Oh, one more. Okay, I'll move to approve the minutes from the consent meeting on December 1st.
I'll second.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Board Member Richards,
Yes.
Board Member Mosley,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry,
Yes.
motion passes.
Next is ratification of the actions taken on the consent calendar for December 8th and December 15th.
Yep. So I'll just go ahead and read them from the full board agenda. Item 1 for the December 8th consent hearing, 529 De La Vina Street. It was postponed to December the 15th, so no action occurred at that hearing. For December the 15th, item 13179 Lucinda Lane was scheduled for project design approval and final approval and was granted as submitted. Item 245 West Sola was granted project design approval and final approval as submitted. Item 3, 529 De La Vina Street, was also granted project design approval and final approval as submitted. And finally, item 4, 3022 Paseo del Refugio, was continued indefinitely to the staff hearing officer. And that is it for the motions for those 2 days.
Okay, I move to ratify the actions taken on the consent calendar for December 8th and December 15th.
I'll second.
Thank you. Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry.
Abstain. I had an item on the agenda.
Okay.
Unless I don't have to abstain. I just always do for some reason.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Board Member Graffitti,
Yes.
Board Member Moslahy.
Yes.
Board Member Richards.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, next we have announcements, request for continuances, future agenda items, and appeals.
Sure. One item I want to talk about was the general public comment we received today. It was for 45 Los Alturas Circle. That is yet to be scheduled yet for the next hearing, but we have members of the public that are already signed up to get an email alert when the agenda is posted with that item. So just wanted to note that. My next announcement is for a new SFDB board member. So architect Lauren Rolfe was appointed by City Council as a new member of the Single Family Design Review Board on December the 2nd. We're very excited to have a new member who brings at least 10 years of residential architectural experience from Orange County, Laguna Beach, and Newport Beach. And the next item is we have here a resolution for Chair Lewis's service. So Vice Chair Sherry, I'm going to hand this over to you, and then you're going to put your John Hancock on there. And you're going to make a motion for a resolution of recognition and read this out.
Can I borrow your pen?
You sure can.
I get to sign a resolution? I feel like
Yes,
the mayor.
it's very exciting. If only we were as cool as HLC, we could have a gavel.
All right. This is a resolution of recognition for Jennifer Lewis from April 24th, 2023 through December 15th, 2025, whereas Jennifer provided exceptional leadership with thoughtful clarity and calmness, creating a productive environment for discussions to thrive. And whereas Jennifer provided steadfast dedication to high architectural standards with ease, kindness, and concision that have beautified the city, and whereas Jennifer was a consistently positive voice and created sound, well-balanced outcomes that contributed to the natural charm of our hillsides. And whereas Jennifer was an excellent listener and synthesized complex community feedback into actionable items for the benefit of beautifying neighborhoods and homes. And whereas Jennifer has contributed and demonstrated graceful and exemplary public service to the community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do I give it to her?
Oh, yeah. That's for her to keep.
I know. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
And Chair Lewis, if I could just quickly add a couple words of thanks. You've done a great job as chair. We really appreciate all that you've led the board through. I think this board has really flourished under your leadership. So thank you, and we hope you stay in touch.
Thank you.
And that is it for announcements.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all. I appreciate the opportunity to serve on the board, and I'm excited for the next chapter that you guys have here. So, our first item on the agenda is a continued item here for project design approval and final approval, 226 Oliver Road. The 5,954 square foot site is currently developed with a 1,344 square foot single-story, single-family residence with an attached 352 square foot two-car garage. The project consists of the construction of a 200 square foot first-story addition, a 432 square foot second-story addition, a 33 square foot JADU, and a new 249 square foot covered patio. Part of the existing garage will be converted to a JADU. The JADU is not under purview of the board. New paving and landscaping are also proposed. The proposed total of 2,454 square feet of development on a 5,954 square foot lot is 92% of the maximum required floor to lot area ratio. A coastal development permit as well as the front and interior setback modifications were approved by the Planning Commission on November 20th. So welcome. You're here for PDA and final, and your project was last heard on May 19th.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Chris Cottrell, architect.
Katie Klein, landscape architect.
Awesome. This project really hasn't changed since the last time you guys saw it, except the front entry. We now have a little gable entry instead of the existing shed roof that was there. We just add a little perk to that. So I can just take you through where we are, and then Katie can show you the minor landscape changes that we've got. But yeah, so here's that existing entry. So posts are going to be in the same place. We just have a little cute little gable over that. Okay, corner lot. We've got Coleman up here and Oliver Road. And this is one of the roads that is considered the closest road to the beach. So it did go to Planning Commission for full review, which was a party. And they encouraged, I think, themselves, or maybe you, staff, to come up with a way that they could process these more ministerially and not have to go through that whole process. So hopefully that sticks and moves into the future. I'll come back to this site plan. Well, do you have that other site plan?
Yeah, I put it in the folder.
It's in here, supplemental sheets?
Yes.
I got
There,
it.
yeah, there you
Perfect.
go.
Wow, look at
Oh,
that.
perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes.
It's just printed better. So the pink areas are what we went through the modifications for. This is the encroachment into the front yard setback. So it's already encroaching in the front yard setback. We're just making changes in that encroached area. One of the two modifications was for this tandem parking configuration here. And so the existing garage goes to this line right there. And what we're doing is pushing the front of that garage 3 feet back. And this paved area now makes a complete parking space. So 2 complete parking spaces in front of each other. I'll switch back to this other thing real quick. Okay, you can see that looked much better. Okay, floor plans. We're doing a sort of infill addition at the back of the house, and then converting this 2-car garage into a 1-car garage and a funky JADU. And there's this other parking space in front. So there's that setback. You can see that push back there where we're getting that space. Adding a new stair up to the 2nd floor primary suite. Closet, bath, bedroom. I think the last time the board was here, we had 3 by 3, and I think these have shrunk to 30 by 30. RCPs. There was a comment from the folks on the opposite corner, kitty corner from this, about exterior lights, and I just wanted to show them that there are actually no exterior lights proposed on the 2nd story. There's no deck or anything on the 2nd story, so just wanted to allay that concern. This is the rear elevation, so they've got this covered patio in the back. There's the stair. North elevation, seeing that 2nd story beyond. So we're picking up existing shingles on top of siding that they've got going on with the house. This is the street side elevation. Again, you can see the pink area. This is already encroaching. We're just changing where that encroachment's happening so they can kind of clean up this elevation. And there's that step back garage and the new gable at the entry. And I think I can, here's the side view of that. sections. I think I'll just roll through details unless, Katie, I think you're up now.
Great.
Do you want to drive?
So the landscape is really just reacting to the updates to the architecture. The landscape is pretty well established. If you saw the existing site photos, we're really just kind of matching the plant palette that's there and the hardscape. So we've tried to clearly show where the limit of work is. So we're updating the parkways and then anywhere where the building is changing, where we need to update the landscape. So here's our construction plan. So we're doing tile in the back. This is existing Oklahoma stone. We're just adding more to match existing. And then same over here, we're doing Hanley Gold gravel. We're just adding more as this area has expanded to the landscape. And then planting, like I said, we're really just matching the existing plant palette that's there. Here's the list of plants. And then the parkway sheets, we're just, you can only have 8-inch high plants now, so we're replacing with a Carissa macrocarpa ground cover, just simple. And that's all. Happy to answer questions.
I'll just show you the color sheet real quick and then pass it back to you. Okay. Well, there we go. There you go. Okay, pretty neutral palette. Cloud white as the base, white windows and doors, white trim, and there's a downlight. It does have glass on the outside, but you can't see the bulb. So it's an LED downlight. And I will close it there for questions.
Okay, great. If needed, you have about 9 minutes remaining, and we'll move to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project. If anyone wishes to make a comment, they may fill one out and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so, so we are now going to turn our attention to virtual attendance. And at this time, I do not have any hands raised for this project for public comment, and we did not receive any written correspondence. So I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Okay, great. Were there staff comments?
Hi, Jillian Fennessy, the assistant planner for this project. I think the applicant covered it. The project did go to Planning Commission and received a coastal development permit as well as front interior modifications. It is here for design review because it includes the construction of a second-story addition. And like they said, it's here for project design approval and final approval. And I'm here for questions.
Okay, great. If you could go to the previous minutes. I think they're up on one of the tabs. Scroll down. Go.
Keep going.
A little bit more.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
So I got the last one.
And then keep going. There we go. So I think you had commented a little bit on the hedge and the privacy. Do you want to comment anything else for the landscaping for item 4? Is that the change?
Sure.
You can go ahead.
Yeah, so I think the last time we were here, we had the 8-foot hedge remaining, and now we are trimming that down. So it is, I think we're
You don't
going
need-
to 3.6 on that.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move to any other questions from the board?
Yeah, you're talking about the large existing hedge on the street. You're lowering it to 3.6, but there were concerns about privacy, and now we're lowering a fence?
Previously, they were tall because the applicant wanted privacy, but they're the ones choosing to lower it.
Do you want to comment?
I would love to comment.
Yeah.
Part of it is the driveway we need for the first 10 feet,
Mm-hmm.
3.6, and so it just seemed like it was going to be weird to have 3.6. and
Because of
then-
the visibility triangle.
Exactly.
But the rest of it you're making lower because you want it lower?
No. Part of it too is there is they have to dedicate an easement because the sidewalk up on Coleman is not where it should be, so the applicants need to dedicate, I think it's 6 or 12 inches?
Yeah, it's on
Yeah,
our
plan.
plan. Yeah, 6
6 inches.
inches about.
So they're giving the city 6 inches so that when they redo the sidewalk, it can go into their property. This is actually interesting because now their setbacks are from that new dedication.
And then what about Oliver Street?
There's no issue with that sidewalk.
So you're wanting to lower the hedge to 3 feet, 6 inches on
That's-
Oliver?
Yes, that's the
Except for the
idea.
visibility triangle?
Correct, yep.
And then that means that there is less privacy than there was before. So, and then what about the windows on the south elevation? Did you reduce those in size, item
Yes,
5?
we've reduced those in
I
size.
missed that in the presentation, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Board Member Garfitti?
My only other question is, was there any other comments that came out of Planning Commission, or do we have access to?
Did you have access to their minutes? No comments regarding design came out of that. Yeah, it was just conversation was kind of just about the easement and dedication, but they approved the project.
Okay. Board Member Mosley?
Sure. Can you show us on the elevation before and after of those, like the south elevation windows, just quickly? What's changed?
So these windows, these are on either side of the bed, and they just shrunk in size. They were, I think, 3.0 by 3.0, and now they're 30 by
Okay.
30.
And on your elevations here, like you show on the walls, like where the gable is, the shingles, but on the material palette, you don't have, like, it's only like roofing shingle? Is it, what's
Oh.
the material and the color of the shingle on the walls?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't have it on the material board, so I was like curious.
Yeah, so both the siding and the shingle color will be that same body. So it'll be painted the same.
So it's the same like strategy of like the existing house has the blue shingle and the board and batten, like it's gonna be this white.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. And there are some existing, maybe I saw one downspout, which is like an aluminum. What's the proposed?
Match the trim, so
Okay.
downspouts look like trim.
Okay, I think that's my questions.
Okay. Board Member Richards?
Sure. I just wanted to reconfirm that these are aluminum-clad wood windows. Is that what's being proposed?
correct, yep.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay, we'll move to comments. Anyone want to start us? No comments?
In support of the project, I was just going to chime in terms of the hedge height. I think we saw this back in May, so it's been a while, but from what I remember, I think the hedges along, so it's Oliver and what's the cross street? Coleman. There was a backyard kind of area around the corner that was more treated as a backyard, that we respected the height being higher on the hedges. And then coming around the corner on Oliver, there was this really cute front yard, and we were discussing keeping it lower for more of a friendly view from the public, and also to keep with kind of the zoning rules and everything. And it sounds like also the owners are in support of that, and there's other things going on with the driveway that makes that make sense. So I think part of it was from our board wanting to keep portion of it higher, understanding that, and part of it lower, but either way, in support of what you're proposing today. I just wanted to re-jog our memory on that one. It sounds like you might have a response to that.
That's okay.
It's okay
That's
with me. It's okay with you.
The owners would love to keep that higher on Coleman if the board was supportive of it. Is there are we?
It sounds like that's outside of our control, right? With the
There's
planning?
the 6-inch area is Public Works, and then beyond that, we can go higher.
Would you just push it back 6 inches?
So there's like-
It's already clear. We just have to have a note that says within that first 6 inches.
We wouldn't do it.
So-
Yeah, if I may, I think I think you can go up to 8 feet for the zoning code in the front yard for the hedges.
I don't know about that.
But
Yeah, you can do an MZ above 8.
because if it's not within the first 10,
First 10 is too
first
sick.
10,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, if you wanted that, it would,
Come back for an
Okay,
MZ.
so it's out of our purview anyways at this point. So anyways, generally in support of the project and happy to, yeah, prove it today.
Board Member Mosley?
Yeah, I am generally in support of the project, and I think like the color palette proposed and the landscaping is like comparing to the existing house, it's gonna be upgrade the neighborhood. It's a corner lot, and I'm supportive of like taller hedges. And I know that it's a additional ask because, like, for example, on the consent today, there was a project that it was a corner lot and they had a tall hedge, which they asked for an exception, and we were supportive of it. So, but I know that the process will take longer for that. I think that's it. It's ready.
Sure. I think it's an attractive project. I'm more in support of the hedge as it's presented in this presentation, but that's just my personal opinion, so.
I just want to quickly, sorry to jump on the hedge thing, and we do have guidelines around this and making sure we have friendly front yards. I think it's really specifically when it comes to corner lots and privacy and context in the neighborhood. So before we're overly excited about tall hedges, I just want to reconnect on that. And also, there's multiple different hedges.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be good to I don't know if it's needed for today, but just in the future to specify like which portion of the hedges are in support of.
Yeah, and I feel like for this, it's what's the project presented to us today. And so far, it sounds like the board is in support of how it's designed and what we're looking at today. And I agree that I think it's ready for PDA and final. With that, I'll make a motion to approve, well, oh, my brain stopped. To grant project design approval and final approval with the following comments: that the proposed development is consistent with the scenic character of the city and will enhance the appearance of the neighborhood. The proposed development is compatible with the neighborhood and its size, bulk, and scale is appropriate to the site and neighborhood. The proposed buildings and structures are designed with quality architectural details. The proposed materials and color maintain the natural appearance of the ridgeline or hillside. No trees of significance are proposed to be removed. The public health, safety, and welfare are appropriately protected and preserved. The project generally complies with the Good Neighbor Guidelines regarding privacy, landscaping, noise, and lighting. The development, including proposed structures and grading, preserves significant public scenic views of and from the hillside.
That's it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Excuse me. Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry,
Yes.
Board Member Gaffidy,
Yes.
Board Member Moslahi,
Yes.
Board Member Richards.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay,
Great,
great.
thank
Thank you so much.
And just to make an announcement for the applicant, that does start the appeal process, the 10-day deadline. So if we don't get anything before then, you're more than welcome to submit to building and safety. All right, thank you, guys.
Okay, our next item is a continued item here for project design approval and final approval as well. 615 Bath Street, proposal to construct a two-story building comprised of a 629 square foot garage and a 440 square foot storage area on the first floor, and a 704 square foot residence with an attached 349 square foot ADU on the second floor. The ADU is not under purview of the board. The project also includes a 94 square foot upper story deck serving the primary unit, an 80 square foot upper story deck serving the ADU, and a new driveway and curb cut. The proposed total of 2,122 square feet on a 2,999 square foot lot is 97% of the guideline maximum floor area ratio. An open yard modification was approved by the staff hearing officer on October 15th. So welcome. We'll start with staff comments.
Thank you. Pilar Plummer, Associate Planner with the City of Santa Barbara Planning and Zoning Division. And the project description generally covers it. Since the last single-family design board hearing on September 22nd, where the board generally gave positive feedback on the design and aesthetic appropriateness of the modification, it went to the staff hearing officer. The staff hearing officer ended up approving the open yard modification. Again, because this is a very constrained lot, just under 3,000 square feet. And the overall project involves a generally modest footprint for the single-family residence, a small accessory dwelling unit, and then parking with storage on the lower level. If you have any questions, I'll be here, but the applicant is eligible for both project design approval and final approval. Thank you.
Okay, great. As a part of your presentation, if you can review the previous minutes and any changes to the plans since we last saw, you'll have 15 minutes to present. If you can both state your name for the record.
Okay. Sergio Macheo with Vanguard Planning.
I'm Chantal Avo with Listol Design Studio.
Okay. So starting with the minutes, there was very minimal comments. But as mentioned before, the open yard modification has been approved. There are some detailing, architectural details that we're going to jump into, and additional landscape and civil plans are included as part of this submittal. So let me okay, I'm just going to start with the civil plan. As you can see, incorporated into the design is some stormwater basins in the front. And additionally, there's to increase the landscape of on the lot, we opted out to go with ribbon driveways, both permeable as well. It's the big change, and then I'll let Chantal talk about landscape once we get to that point. But just to address the architectural details, which was the comment from before, I'm just going to go to the render, which shows it. Okay. In question last time was the soffit. It's tongue and groove, and it's going to be painted white. Previously, it was wood natural, which is not anymore. And right now, what we did with the deck was aligning the bottom of the joist to the floor joist of that main house. That allows us to have a continuous 1x14 horizontal trim throughout the building, which makes a lot more sense and a lot better than that step that was before. And then the one thing that's not showing is there should be an attic vent right here, as was previously mentioned, but I think there was an error in the render. And I believe that was really all the major changes. These are some specs that are not in the purview of the SFDB. And then I'll jump now to the landscape plan. So if Chantal could briefly explain this.
Okay. Okay, so I'll just kind of go briefly through the landscape plan. Overall, we wanted to focus on site efficiency and creating usable space for our client, while still also relating to the surrounding environment. Like Sergio mentioned in the front, I'll kind of start in the front, kind of go around the plan. In the front, we do have those ribbon driveways with permeable paving and then ground cover. It'll help soften the front yard, as also reduce impervious surfaces. And then on the east side, we have a tree which will help kind of help screen the views up through the property as you're walking on the sidewalk. We have some plants in there. And then on the west side, the front entry, I have flagstone, which I think helps create like a clear sense of entry into the front entry. And then on both sides, we have gravel walkways. The west side has flagstone stepping stones, but both sides are gravel. So that kind of creates access and circulation throughout the property. And then in the back, we have flagstone patios and and portions of the patio is planted joints, so it'll help also soften the hardscape. And yeah, and the plantings along the perimeter it's not hedging, it's just kind of like low plantings just to soften the fencing and kind of create a little bit of a separation from the neighbors. And that's about it. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, great, thank you. We'll move to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project. If anyone wishes to make a comment, they may fill one out and bring it to me. I see no one moving to do so. We will turn our attention to virtual attendance. And at this time, I do not have any hands raised virtually for comment, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this particular project. So at that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Okay, great. We will start with questions. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, really quickly, did you say that the front elevation gable at the covered porch was missing a vent? Is that what you said?
It's
Yes, in air, it should be there in the
Similar
render.
to the other one on the
Yes,
larger gable.
correct.
And then the other question was about the existing sycamore tree that's right on the north side of the side property line, closer to the front.
You're talking about the neighbors? This
Yeah, that one.
On the neighbors?
So that one is not going to make it. I was just wondering if you had somebody look at that, an arborist look at that, to give you advice on how to build a foundation that close to the critical root zone.
Chair Lewis, Board Member Sherry, we didn't specifically go out and get an arborist on that because it's on an adjacent property. We could have one look at it. I mean, sometimes you can do things with a grade beam that won't cut the whole side of the roots off. And we like that tree, even though it's not on our property, it's an asset to our property and kind of to the neighborhood. So we'd be willing to have an arborist look at it, but like if there's nothing that can be done, we're going to develop the property. We can't have a tree on a neighbor's property denying our client the right to build out. So we'd be happy to look into it and alter the foundation if that will do something.
Yeah, I'm only bringing it up because the findings that we have to make have to do with the trees that are potentially being affected. So it's not going to keep you from moving forward, but we'll talk about that during comments. I just wanted to know what you had done so far to talk about how that foundation was going to work. So,
Board Member Graffiti.
Can you just bring up their previous minutes again? Okay, no questions.
Okay, Board Member Mosley.
Yes, can you show us on your old plans the horizontal band that goes around the building and the current one, please?
Is your microphone on?
I just turned it
Sure,
on.
like a side by side.
You can just show the old one. We just saw the new one.
Yeah, I'll go to the elevation. Well, previously we didn't have it there. Oh, this is a really old plan where we had a big
Yeah,
one.
through the chair to the applicant team. When I was putting the files in this folder, I accidentally put the earlier hearing of the plan set, but I can bring up the September 22nd plan
That's
set for you
fine.
right now.
I can.
Well, one thing
I think I know what you're about to ask us. Why don't we just show you on our current plans what we did?
Yeah, I think like the current one is like
And this-
perfectly like done the way that we wanted. I just wanted to
and
go
thi-
back.
and this is kind of to show a little bit. Before it was this skinny little guy, and then you could see based on this dash line how it was extending further down, and that was the discrepancy.
There was like a step
There was a step,
situation.
yeah, and also if we could look at the render, and it was in this transition point where this was in one plane and this was in a
Yeah.
further plane, but now they're coplanar, and so it's one going to be one.
They were also different vertical thicknesses before, and we were able to get them to be the same.
Okay, thank you. And Is there any change in any windows since we last saw the project?
No,
Okay,
no.
thank you so much. That was all my
Board
questions.
Member Richards?
No questions.
Okay, any comments from the board?
No, just the one about the tree, and I understand the situation. I just wish it wouldn't have to come back if I mean, I think our motion is going to be with the understanding that that tree isn't going to be removed, so I take it, it's an
Yeah, this
assumed.
is a tricky one. It's outside of their
I know.
site, so I don't know that.
So I don't know how staff deals with that, but.
So through the chair, they're here for final approval. If they need to make a change to the foundation system that actually has a material effect to the design, they could potentially come back as a review after final, if you wanted to grant it, because you're with the understanding that they're not touching the tree on the adjacent property.
I could
So,
speak to that
yeah.
really quick. Any changes we made about this wouldn't affect anything above the ground on this building. It would purely be whether it has a continuous footing or a grade beam, and that won't change anything that anyone can see.
No, I know that, but it has to do with the aesthetic change above grade, that the architecture is now not going to have that significant tree there as a softening effect. So maybe a tree, that you can't plant a tree when you don't know if you're going to have the other one. So it's kind of a catch-22. But
Maybe
anyway,
we'll hear from the rest of the
that's
board.
my
and
comment,
their-
kind of my
their
dilemma.
thoughts.
I don't disagree with your comments about the tree. I'm looking at it right now, and even the branching and the way that it's more leaning onto the property line of the project. I think if I were the owner, I'd probably just want to sanity check that too. Just again, given the way the branches are leaning towards the applicant's project. But I don't know. We talked about this in the first meeting. It's come up, but again, on the other property, a few feet back and then a few feet back. So I don't know if there's really anything we can ask them at this point, but I think it'd be wise if I were the applicant to want to just get a sanity check from a licensed arborist. Again, given those branches are leaning towards the property, if something were to happen or risky with the tree, yeah, I would want to know that, but I don't think I would need to see that in the motion today, again, given that it's not on the property and we've had other meetings to discuss it.
Yeah, I currently agree. I don't think it's providing privacy to another residence next door. I think it is fine to make a motion that within reason they try to protect that tree, but it's not on their property. Those are my thoughts. Board Member Graffiti. I'm sorry, mostly.
You're good. Yeah, I think like it's the best visually and aesthetically is to keep the tree healthy and there, because it's softening like from when we are coming from the side that it's like it's a parking lot adjacent to it, but from that side of the street when you're driving, this tree is like softening the whole two-story because of its length. It's breaking it to like breaking the long length of the building. I would check and see what can we do foundation-wise, but I think like because it's like on the next adjacent property and it's a parking lot, for the approval of the project, I don't think we just pause this, but I would definitely check and aesthetically prefer to keep the tree as is.
Okay, Board Member Richards.
Yeah, I agree with all of that and would encourage the applicant to, take whatever efforts they can to try and protect that tree through construction and detailing of the foundation.
Okay, so it feels like what I'm hearing is that the board would like to make sure it's included in the motion that the applicant take efforts to protect the tree during construction.
In the foundation, so that, yeah.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion? If not, I'll move to continue, I move to grant project design approval and final approval with the condition that the applicant take efforts to protect the large tree on the adjacent property that helps to screen and reduce the overall size, bulk, and scale of the applicant's project. Through the construction process and in the design of the foundation. The proposed development is consistent with the scenic character of the city and will enhance the appearance of the neighborhood. The proposed development is compatible with the neighborhood and its size, bulk, and scale is appropriate to the site and neighborhood. The proposed buildings and structures are designed with quality architectural details. The proposed materials and colors maintain the natural appearance of the ridgeline or hillside. The proposed project does not include removal of significant impact, removal of or significantly impact any designated specimen tree. The public health, safety, welfare are appropriately protected and preserved. The project generally complies with the Good Neighbor Guidelines regarding privacy, landscaping, noise, and lighting. The development, including proposed structures and grading, preserves significant public scenic views of and from the hillside.
That's it.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Board Member Mosley?
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti?
Yes.
Board Member Richards?
Yes.
Chair Lewis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you.
And just to the applicant team, just to announce that that does begin the appeal time period. So if we don't receive anything within 10 calendar days of this decision, you guys can go ahead and submit to Building and Safety. Thank you.
Okay, great. And we are moving ahead of schedule, but we are still within our timeline for the next item, and I believe the applicant is here. So the next item is a continued item here for project design approval, 805 Margot Street. The project consists of a 270 square foot first floor addition, a 632 square foot second floor addition, and a 537 square foot covered patio to an existing single-story, single-unit residence. The project also consists of converting an existing 414 square foot garage to a JADU. The JADU is not under purview of the board. Interior and exterior alterations are proposed. 2 minor zoning exceptions are requested to exceed hedge heights in the front setback by 4 feet for a 12-foot tall hedge, and exceed the height of the existing garage by about 2 feet. The total proposed 2,660 square feet on a 7,342 square foot lot is 88% of the maximum required floor area ratio. The project qualifies for an exemption from further environmental review. PDA is requested here today, and the project was last heard on August 11th. Any staff comments?
No, I don't have any staff comments. Thank you.
Great, welcome. If you can make sure to reference the previous meeting minutes and any changes to the previous plans.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. Board members, my name is Liz Hughes, presenting for Tom Oxner, architect, and the owners Lisa and Manu Singh at 805 Margot Street. So I'll first go over the minutes from the previous hearing. The board is generally in support of the size and style of the proposed project and appreciates keeping the existing landscape as much as possible. 2, study the front door and awning proportion of the column size on the corner. 3, the board waives all FAR requirements, including the story poles. 4, the board would like to see an additional street level view to understand the scale of the butterfly roof on the second story as perceived from the neighbors. 5, the board likes the darker material on the second story as it helps to reduce the visual scale of the massing. 6, the board recommends studying the west elevation window arrangement. 7, the board supports the minor zoning exception for larger hedges to provide privacy to the backyard and to the garage height as it minimally impacts the street. So I'll start going over the plans, and we'll probably do a little bit of back and forth to compare what's changed between this submittal and the previous submittal. In general, the footprint of the building has remained the same in the design, and we've made some minor adjustments
If we can reduce noise in the background so that we can hear the applicant.
the detailing of that front entry as well as some of the windows. So let's see. The second comment was about the front door and the awning roof that's covering that front door. And this is actually the best view here of that on the cover sheet. And I'm going to go to the old plans and kind of zoom in on that as well. So part of the comments were about the scale of the post coming down, and then the change in material as the wood kind of abruptly stops at the corner. And so to address that material change, we actually we brought that wall out a little bit to create a change in plane so that we could continue the wood down at the entry and kind of create a feature there. And then we also increased the size of the wood framing at that entry, as well as integrated it with this planter element that's going in front of the building. And the planter partially serves to, since we're proposing parking in the driveway area, to protect the house from that parking. That's usually coming up as a planning comment, and so that was partially to address that as well. Let's see. And then the comment number 4, actually, I'm going to also go to the elevation on the new plans, just so we can take a look at it. So this is the elevation of that roof that's coming down over the entry and the post there, integrated with the planter. Then the street level view from the neighbors. We provided a new, so we have our street elevation. As we discussed during the previous hearing, the street actually slopes down significantly along Roberto. And so we prepared a second street elevation to illustrate that relationship between the topography and how the proposed building sits in context of the neighborhood. And then we also have some additional views from the street, kind of showing how that the street is sloping up and how the building sits. This is along Margot, which is a lot flatter than Roberto. So just a few additional views there to illustrate the massing of the building. And then comment number 6 was about the west elevation windows. So this elevation, and I'm going to pull up the old plans on this too, although I'm not sure what page it's on, but let me see. Okay, so we had kind of a continuous, very repetitive string of windows along the side of the building. This portion here is above a double height living space, and then over this area is the master bedroom. And so what we did on the most recent set was to kind of break up those two elements to create, and this worked out well since we could create an operable window for the master as well, and then have just separating them into two different areas so that it didn't look so monotonous along that top level there. We also made several other changes to the windows, most of which are pretty minor, but a lot of them just related to adding operable windows where we needed them. And then aligning as much as we could kind of the sills and heads with the butterfly roof. Our approach to the window design was to step the windows as much as we could to relate to the roof, not so much, to have that continuous band. But since we do have rectangular windows, some of them that are closer to the edges where the higher roofs are occurring are a little bit taller to capture a little bit more light. And that was also, there was a question about the height of these windows as well during the previous hearing. And the desire was to keep the windows as large as possible along this edge, just partially also because, you can't look out of these windows, so it's mostly to provide light to the interior of this double height space. And then we also have a few other exhibits that we had at the previous hearing about the master bedroom and views from the master bedroom towards the adjacent properties. So let me see, what do I have on here? Can't remember which sheet that's on. Okay, so these are the exhibits that we prepared as part of the previous submittal as well as this submittal. And on the lower image depicts the view towards the backyard, so towards the neighbor at 809 Margot. And you can see that this roof element, which is the roof that's covering the covered deck below for this property, is actually obscuring a lot of the view towards that neighboring property. And then there's also quite a bit of mature landscaping along that back edge. And so our approach to the site design of this project has been to maintain as much as possible of that existing landscaping. So we're not proposing really to touch much of anything, and the majority of the development is happening over the footprint of the existing structure. So I'll kind of zoom in. You can see this little cluster of palm trees and other planting along the back of that property. And Tom has already also met with a neighbor at this property to discuss. The neighbor was also concerned about shadows being cast on the property. And so we prepared a solar study that's part of this submittal to illustrate, the sun is actually the location of that structure. You're not going to have many shadows cast except early in the morning. So that's really the only time of day that you're going to have shadows going in that direction. Later in the evening, they actually kind of cast towards the street instead. But we just wanted to prepare that exhibit to, provide the neighbors with some additional information if they need it. And then just to kind of reiterate from the previous presentation, the site design or the design of the house was based off of the existing footprint, and then we're making some adjustments to the existing garage roof as we convert that to a JADU structure. And then the overall height of the butterfly roofs, what we always strive to do is keep roofs, below 25 feet. And the top of this, the edge of the roof is at 21 foot 6.5 inches from grade. And then we also, I'm just going to pull this up from, we met with the Transportation Department as part of our application process because there were some public right-of-way improvements that they encouraged for this property. It's a little tricky because we have a corner lot, and the hedge along Margot Street, the one that's taller that we're asking for a zoning exception on, that is actually providing some privacy for that backyard and is in keeping with other residences in that area of the neighborhood. And so part of the improvements that the planning or that the Transportation Department was requesting would have affected that hedge. And so we were able to talk to them about providing a bulb out at the intersection, which would provide additional accessibility to the sidewalk area rather than, widening that sidewalk and bringing it onto the property. So that was another change that we worked with Transportation and Planning Department to utilize. And then also showing our parking spaces in that existing driveway there as well. And if you have any questions about the previous design and changes that we've made, I can answer those as well. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. We will move to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. I do have a couple of slips here. We'll first hear from Aaron James and then Clark James. If you could approach the podium, please turn on your mic. And Sebastian's got it. You will have 2 minutes to speak.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. It's on, right? It's on. Okay. Okay. My name's Erin Steed. My husband, Clark James, and I are here today. We live at 809 Margot Street, so we're directly next to 805 Margot Street. And I want to focus on privacy and noise, both which are directly addressed in the city's Good Neighbor Guidelines. The yard at 805 Margot faces our bedrooms, and we already experience sound impacts, which we have raised repeatedly with the property owner. And I want to mention that we have a good relationship with Lisa and Manu, and have been pretty open with them with other issues and with this one in particular. But we haven't really received any follow-up on our concerns. Instead of correcting the noise condition, the proposed project worsens it by adding a wall over 20 feet tall, moved about 10 feet closer, which will predictably reflect and amplify sound toward our home. The Good Neighbor Guidelines specifically caution against orienting outdoor activity areas toward neighboring properties, and that is exactly what this design continues to do. In addition, the proposed second-story windows create direct sightlines into our yard, bedroom windows, and neighboring homes, eliminating privacy, morning sunlight, and east-facing hill views. The window view visuals shown do not use actual eye-level photographs and do not accurately depict our home or our neighbors' homes and yards, so they materially understate these impacts. Given the scale and proximity, story poles should have been provided to visually understand the impact of a two-story home on this corner lot. Additionally, despite our request, the architect did not visit our property to address our concerns or to observe the property from our perspective. We respectfully ask the board to require accurate documentation, story poles, solutions for noise abatement, and verification of setbacks and open area compliance before this project proceeds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Clark. Clark, you will have 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you. To reiterate the concerns of particularly the images, I work in the image field, visualization, and the images represented on the drawings, I don't have them in front of me, I can't show you, but they are drawn in perspectives that are not accurate to the views, particularly if you look at the views from the second story that they're showcasing. One is saying that the porch roof over the backyard that they're adding facing our yard is obstructing the view. And if you were to lay on the floor on the second story, on the floor of the bedroom, you might have your view obstructed, but according to basic 3D understanding, that's not possible. Second of all, if you look at the original images they've provided for the views from the second story, they were taken from behind the center line on the tile roof, which represents 15 feet away from the edge of the property, or the edge of the existing house, not including the addition they're going to add on. So those renderings are roughly 15, 18 feet from where they actually would be, and they're lower. And then the two renderings they just included recently, the views, the perspectives from looking into the neighbor's yard and our yard, completely misrepresent what's actually happening. There's some views they drew in there with show like a prairie field in the background. They don't actually show what it looks like to look into our yard, into our two-bedroom windows, into the backyard of the neighbor's yard, and the neighbor's property, and the bathroom of the neighbor next to them. So there's also 3D renderings of the house from the street view on Roberto, the pan view. If you look at that drawing, it appears that the left side of the house sticks out at single story, and it's not, the second story is set back. It's not accurate. It's because the rendering has been done from the center of the house, and it makes it appear as though it's single story. And if you look at the Roberto house next to it, it's actually going to require a new 6-foot retaining wall, another story, and another story above that. And what you're basically generating is about a
25 to 28-foot vertical wall for their property and a 20-foot wall facing our property. It's just not represented properly. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I do not have any additional slips for comment. If anyone wishes to make one, they may fill it out and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so, so now I'm going to turn my attention to virtual attendance. And at this time, I do not have any hands raised for virtual comment on this particular item. And we did receive written correspondence from a Mr. Trent Brown. And at that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Okay, we will start with questions from the board. We'll start over here. Board Member Richards, any questions?
Sure, yeah. Could you clarify the roof slope that's being proposed on the project?
Do you mean what the slope is?
Yeah, I just want to get a better understanding of what the slope is and what the roofing material
I
is.
believe it's either a 2 and 12 or a 3 and 12, but it's, I know it's relatively low sloped. Let me go to the roof plan here. Oh, here. Oh, it's actually 1 and 12, so.
Okay, and so the roofing material that you guys are looking at using?
So I was originally thinking that it would be some sort of asphaltic roll material, but they do want to put over, composite shingles over it so that, and that's usually what we end up doing with a really low sloped roof. If you're going to be looking down on it, is we'll provide, like a torch down underlayment and then shingles on top to kind of provide something more aesthetically pleasing to look at, because that master bedroom does look out over the roof that's covering the deck below. So that's the current plan.
Okay. And then I guess as a follow-up to that, gutters and drainage. It looked like on your previously submitted plan, you had a fascia that kind of wrapped the entire piece. It looks like it was deleted on this. And so I'm just trying to get an understanding, because a butterfly slope, you're pretty much targeting water to one direction, and I don't see any downspouts or any kind of
Yeah,
way.
Tom and I were discussing this earlier today. I think this is a tricky condition. The one thing that we were talking about doing was potentially providing a drainage area that would route down the walls, and then we would have an overflow at the edge of the butterfly, which would either have a chain going down to the roof below, but not a gutter. That's something that we were planning on figuring out for final.
Okay. And then I guess the last is just that follow-up on the fascia. It looked like just one, it was deleted.
I don't think we had it on the last, okay, you know what it is? It's just that the thickness of that upper was kind of overrepresented in the previous set versus now kind of showing the true detailing of how we would, so instead of it being a thicker element above, because the beams are still exposed, it's just that previous way that the elevations were represented is not how we would actually detail it. So we had made that adjustment.
For the downslope areas, would you pick up an exterior gutter, or how are you kind of dealing with the water at that point then? Because it does almost a M or N shape, right?
Yeah. Again, we're planning on figuring that out for final.
Okay. And then I guess the last one is kind of looking at the proposed plans. It seems like your edge detail on the roof for the sides, it varies with where you actually have those roof rafters, which kind of leads to an inconsistent shadow line and everything else kind of, just being developed. Is that something that was intentional, or is that something that's just a modeling?
I think that ultimately there will be a barge at the edge of each eave, and so I can kind of see there may be some locations where it's offset from that, but the intention would be for the eave to align with the face of that.
For a consistent detail?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. those are all my questions.
Okay, Board Member Mosley?
Yeah, sure. Can you go please to your sheet T 1.31 and just clarify the height of the, I think like it's visible on image, the bottom, like number 3, between the neighbor and the Roberto, like the 731 and your property. What's the height of the retaining wall and the wall, like in total?
Let me go to the elevation. Hold on a second. You're saying this wall between the neighbor and,
Yeah, and on that like sheet, you had a like a rendering that's showing it now. It's just like a grass on the renderings, but it's probably a retaining wall visible, not a grass. It's shown as green now.
yeah, I understand that. I mean, we're not going to model the entire
I understand.
neighborhood.
Just
so,
wanted to know the height
yeah.
of that in total. So
From this side of the property to this side of, or which total are you looking
can you go
for?
to that number 3?
But you're asking for the visible side
Yes, visible side.
of the retaining wall, but it looks like the landscape slopes from the neighbor.
I think, I mean, from what I can see from the images, I think it's about 3.6 maybe, is that retaining wall between those two properties, or somewhere about there.
And the same, if you go to the image, the number 2, zoom in, there's no, because like one of the neighbors mentioned between these two properties, there's no level change between the property
I
809
don't know
and
that there
805.
is a significant level change, but let me go back to the site photos and see if we have anything that shows that.
I just want to clarify, like, visually, what will be visible there?
Yeah. So this is that street along between, and then the corner lot where the property, the project site is located, and then the neighboring parcel at 809 Margot.
It seems like it's
I don't
dense.
think there's necessarily like, a significant differential in, but I guess there could be like a foot or 2
Yeah,
feet.
I'm seeing it on the Google Earth. It seems like it's dense landscaping there, so it's no like elevation change visible. So can you please go to your sheet that you had from the second story, the views from the master bedroom to the neighboring, and just clarify like your renders, like what height is it? Like a
It's taken at eye height,
Eye
and
height.
I think, let me go to this building section, because that might help us all understand this a little bit better. So, if your eye height is about here, as you're looking this way, your view is going to be partially obstructed by this roof. So like if you're here and you're kind of looking down towards the sill, then you're bumping into this, you're going to see part of that roof. The roof extends out far enough to obstruct some of the view to the neighboring property. There's also some existing landscaping in between the two properties, as well as the location of this face of the building to the adjacent property line between the two buildings is 31 feet. So not an insignificant distance to that adjacent parcel.
Can
And-
you show us, this one is like to the neighbor on the Margot Street?
Yeah.
Can you show us the other one as well on your section?
Sure, I wonder.
Maybe like there's
I might
no
have a
section from that
section.
side,
Yeah.
yes. But like you can go to that T132.
Yeah,
Just like,
okay. And that one. Okay. So this window here, we pulled it to the corner as much as we could so that it wasn't directly facing into their backyard. And so when you're in the middle of the room, which the majority of the time you're going to be in the middle of the room looking outward, you know, you can't see very much of the yard. If you're standing right up against the window, yes, you can, you know, look into the yard, but the majority of the time you're not going to be standing right at the window. And so that was kind of what we were representing here, was standing in the middle of the room versus standing directly in front of the window.
Okay, thank you. And my last question would be the planters that are proposed, like in the, between the parking and the house, is it the same material as the exterior walls?
Right now it's shown as plaster, but I'm thinking about potentially doing like a cast-in-place concrete wall, so it may change.
Okay, we can talk about that in the comments as well. Thank you so much. That was all my questions.
Board Member Graffiti?
Okay. First, can you just confirm height to the top of the ridge on the second story? It looks like 21 feet and 3 inches-ish to the very highest point.
Yeah, so we had on one of the elevations, it's called out as 21.6 inches.
Okay, 21.
And so that's what I've been using as the default value for the overall height.
And then do you know how far from the neighboring property lines the second story building is? How many feet from each on Roberto
Yeah,
and
so
Margot?
for the property at Roberto, it's roughly 10 feet 2 inches. The setback is 10 feet, and so we were just maintaining that setback, and it's a little bit farther in, but essentially at the setback line.
Okay.
For the property where it faces the rear yard towards Margot, it's the 31 feet
31 feet.
to the property line
Great.
between the two properties.
And then it sounds like you're maintaining existing vegetation. The shed that's going to be removed, is there any new vegetation, or it sounds like there's no new landscape proposed?
There's no new landscape proposed, although we will be putting plants in the new planter area. But other than that, we haven't discussed any new landscaping. I don't know. We may just leave that as a pad out there if there's an existing pad.
Okay. Let's see. Sorry, why are you not considering doing new landscaping, or you just haven't gotten there yet?
No, it's just because most of the development is over the existing building footprint. We're trying to maintain as much of the existing landscaping as possible to keep the scope of work as, you know, I mean, this is already a big project, and so.
So the rendering on the cover sheet and in the photos of the new landscaping is just.
That's just representative. It's not meant to be.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it for me.
Can you just, on the site plan, show me, because I'm still trying to understand these neighbors' views and setbacks from each neighbor.
Page
and
3 might be helpful.
If you could just show us the neighbor's house footprint on the site plan and the specific elevations and distances that you were
Yeah,
talking
your
about,
very
which is
top.
the 10 and the 31.
Okay.
On the
Yeah.
site plan, on the drawing that has the
Yeah.
adjacent neighbors' footprints on it.
Okay. Okay,
can
we
start
can come
with the
back to
photo
this
of them.
page after we look at, let's see, do we have, this might be helpful?
No, I just want to see the site plan with the adjacent footprints. It would help me understand.
I think that aerial is the most.
I don't think
On
the
page 3.
adjacent footprints are shown on the site plan drawing, so.
Yeah, the graphic one on page 3 I think should be sufficient. If you can just walk us through that one.
If you don't have them on the site plan, which I think, by the way, staff, it should be a requirement, I think it already is, that adjacent properties should be on the site plans, but just explain it on this aerial, yeah. The one, especially the one
Sorry,
that the neighbors are.
Yeah, sure.
Your aerial site view on page 3 is clearer and might
Okay,
be
yeah.
more beneficial to the board.
Okay, so here, along this property, we're set
10 feet.
we're set 10 feet back from the property line. So it actually comes in further from where the existing footprint is.
Yeah, and that neighbor is, their backyard is farther back.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
so now the other neighbor, you're 30 feet from
Yeah.
their property line, and you're adding a roof that, can you just point out where that roof is that you're adding?
Yeah, so the addition that goes to the second story here comes out 9 feet
Right.
from where this existing wall is. So second story volume comes out 9 feet. And then there's the additional covered deck that comes out further. And let me just go to the plan to confirm how much further that comes out. I'm not sure where that's shown. Oh, here, there's a good dimension here. So, 12 foot 10, but that's to the roof line. So from the wall, that's coming out 9 feet from existing, and then another 12 foot 10.
So go back to the aerial, that really clear aerial. And their backyard is beyond the green, beyond the property line screening, those trees? So
Yeah,
it's 30
so
feet
this-
from the property line, and then there's a group of trees, and then the neighbor's yard starts. Okay, thanks.
And you said deck, but did you mean
Oh, yeah, patio,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Okay, I don't have any questions, and comment-wise, I feel like the improvements you've made since you received comments for conceptual design have been beneficial. I think the pulling out the elevation at the entry works really well, bringing down the wood all the way down to the first floor. Even just marking the entry, I think it works really well, and making the post larger and more substantial. I think when we see the drainage details and eave that you're going to get to in final, I think will be really lovely. I do want to address generally that second stories are allowed, and what we've, as in the guidelines and prefer, is for that second story to be placed as centrally into the building as possible, so that it reduces the overall visual mass of the building, which you've done. And it also, in stepping back, provides some level of extra privacy and distance. But as neighbors, you will see your neighbor's house. And I think the 30 feet is more than reasonable, in addition to the screening that is there. It's a tricky lot with the corner lot, because if it were anywhere else, it doesn't. Your backyard backs up to another backyard, and it's the location of how the lot was already arranged. I think the change in the window helps just architecturally on the rear elevation. And most of those windows, like you said, they're not for a gathering space up on the second story. It's for a bedroom and then open air from the like vaulted space. So I don't have a concern with privacy from there. Maybe we'll start with Board Member Graffitti comments.
Sure. Yeah, I'll add on to that. And understood we got public comments on this and read and heard you all and empathize with concerns for our board. Again, speaking to when there is a second story, we think about heights and also how the second story is arranged in relation to the first story. And I actually think 21.6 max height is modest in respect to our 30-foot maximum requirement, 25-foot guideline, and also just where it's brought in from the second story to the property follows our guidelines well, and how it's being sensitive to how it's cited. I would say, although I know you mentioned a lot of the bulk of the addition is on the second story. I think just because of the scope of the project, the way the architecture is changing, personally, I would like to see refreshed landscaping in the front, and I think it's worth also, you know, where that shed is going to be removed and that kind of hole on the back property. It's kind of, I'm looking at the aerial view right now, it looks like mostly dirt and then vegetation on the left side on the Margot property line. I think it'd be great to, if you could have a conversation with those neighbors, and maybe vegetation or something there could help with privacy concerns. But I would actually like to see another look at the front yard landscaping just as it relates to the architecture. And I don't think you'd have to do much, but a planting palette and design that goes more with the new house you're proposing. But in terms of mass, bulk, and scale and just a general program, I'm supportive.
Board Member Sherry?
No further comments to add, just that I think that it's well cited, and unfortunately, the ordinance allows people to add second stories to their homes, and I think that at least it's not a second story that's 6 feet from somebody's property line looking into their backyard, because we've seen those too. This is 30 feet away, and it's about as good as it's going to get, unfortunately. So, and our purview is not like whether or not somebody's making noise, unfortunately, in a yard. So I just encourage continued communication with between the neighbors. So.
I agree with all the comments that were made, and I think like the project is going towards a better path of adjusting the entry very well. Everything is more proportional now, and I think just to clarify for the concerns of the public, I think the architect has done the best of choosing the darker material on the upper story, so that the bulk and scale of the second story is lower, affecting the neighborhood. And the other thing, I think that I understand that it might be a little bit hard to understand the butterfly roof for the public, but it has caused in a lower top of the tall. If it was reverse of this, it was a pitched gabled roof, it might have ended up in a taller roof. And the bad luck is it's that for the applicant, it's a corner lot on a higher elevation. That's why it's questioned in different ways. But I think, and the changes in the elevation of, I think it's the west, that it was the repetitive windows. Now it's broken down. I think it has caused more interesting visual effects from the neighbor side. And other thing I was gonna add, I'm looking forward to see upgraded for the final, seeing the added downspouts and locations on the elevations, because I think because of the character of the roof and the way that you're gonna drain it, we're gonna see the downspouts and the gutters, so I want to see that, how that it details and it's visible from the neighboring and the public. And I think a study for the the entry planter material of how visually it will affect the entry. It could be stated plaster, or I'm open to, for example, the concrete materiality that you mentioned, because it's the most visible from the public. And as was mentioned from other board members, I think we're seeing these renders with the added landscaping, and I think especially from the front yard, it's very important to add when we are having this. The house is a major change. We need this landscaping to be added to soften the project. I think that's it for me.
Board Member Richards?
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said by the other board members. I think a landscape plan is necessary on a project of this scope. And then I also encourage you to really study the roofing and drainage materials, because I think that there's certain requirements with asphalt shingle and certain maximum or minimum slopes. So just looking forward to have that included in the next submittal.
Okay. I move to approve this project for project design approval with the following comments. That the board would like to see the roofing and drainage solutions and materials. That the applicant provide a landscape plan that indicates the solution for infilling at the current shed concrete pad, and how the landscaping will impact the front elevation. The board would also like to see the material of the planter at the driveway. The proposed development is consistent with the scenic character of the city and will enhance the appearance of the neighborhood. The proposed development is compatible with the neighborhood, and its size, bulk, and scale is appropriate to the site and neighborhood, especially as the second story is sited in the center of the first floor footprint, and is kept at a minimal height. The proposed buildings and structures are designed with quality architectural details. The proposed materials and colors maintain the natural appearance of the ridgeline or hillside. No trees are proposed to be removed. The public health, safety, and welfare are appropriately protected and preserved. The project generally complies with the Good Neighbor Guidelines regarding privacy, landscaping, noise, and lighting. The development, including proposed structures and grading, preserves significant public scenic views of and from the hillside. The development, including the proposed structures and grading, is appropriate to the site and is designed to avoid visible scarring and does not significantly modify the natural topography of the site or the natural appearance of any ridgeline or hillside. The development maintains a scale and form that blends with the hillside by minimizing the visual appearance of structures and the overall height of structures.
And just as a reminder, Chair Lewis, is that we also have two minor zoning
Oh, thank
exceptions,
you.
one for the garage and then one for the hedge height. So
The board finds that the following minor zoning exception criteria have been met. The granting of such exemption will not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of other properties in the neighborhood. The improvements are cited such that they minimize impact next to abutting properties. The project generally complies with applicable privacy, landscaping, noise, and lighting standards in the Single Family Design Board Good Neighbor Guidelines. The improvement will be compatible with the existing development and character of the neighborhood.
and I think that's the additional findings don't apply in this
Okay,
case.
great.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we will take a vote. Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry,
Yes.
Board Member Moslehy,
Yes.
Board Member Richards,
Yes.
motion passes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Graffiti. Board Member Graffiti, I'm sorry I missed you. Motion passes.
All right, thank you. And just to announce that that does start the 10-day appeal process since PDA was granted. If we don't get any appeals in within that 10 calendar day, we can go ahead and start processing for final approval. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Our next item is a new item here for concept review, 523 Arroyo Ave. Proposal to permit an as-built 239 square foot second story on an existing single-story 629 square foot residence. A new paved turnaround area in the front yard is proposed along with a new carport. The total proposed 1,258 square feet on a 10,112 square foot lot is 31% of the maximum required floor area ratio.
I am the case planner on this project, Sebastian Herrick's assistant planner. I did just want to note that this is a unique property because that second story addition has been there for what I could see from my records research, for at least 20 years. So it's been there for a very long time. But I just wanted to give that caveat to the site. The applicant is proposing a bit of a different design than what's there right now for the front driveway area. But the application is still incomplete. And so when this comes before the board for project design approval, the design might be slightly changed. But again, I think the main focus here is the second story addition.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Yes. Yeah, you all have 15 minutes to present. If you can both state your names for the record, make sure your microphones are on. Sure. And then I believe the site photos might have been submitted as a separate tab up at the top.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Is my mic on? Or?
Click, but there you go.
There we go. Okay. All right. My name is Tristan Cravens. I'm with Santa Barbara Permitting, and this is Greg Leota. He's also with Santa Barbara Permitting, and we are representing Edward, or Eddie Harris, as we call him, who is the property owner of 523 Arroyo. And as Sebastian noted, this is a slightly unique case since, based on what we could find of historic aerial photos, it was built, our best guess is 1992. So it's been around a while, 33 years by my best guess. And our goal today is really to explain the as-built situation, get feedback on design compatibility of particularly the second story addition, and then all of that before moving on to final drawings. So we'll start here on the project information sheet. And something I would like to point out, Sebastian did help me out with explaining the situation with the turnaround and carport. Those two items we are not current, we're working on changing those based on the feedback letter we got in November. But one thing I would like to point out here is the floor area calculations. So the existing residence is 629 square feet, or 649 square feet gross. And the as-built addition adds 269 square feet total. So the total proposed is 1,158 square feet, which is, I believe, about 31% of the maximum FAR. So it's a pretty minimal addition all in all. And I'll go ahead and give you a better idea of what it looks like from the street. Here are some neighborhood photos of Arroyo Ave. Down here somewhere is 523. This is what it looks like from the driveway, from the street looking in. And you can see there's this big shipping container here, but ignoring that, the actual addition is blocked by trees, not visible from the street unless you really look in there. And overall, the impact is pretty minimal. But I'll go back to the plans here so I can show some more detail. These are the photos of the addition. As you can see, the materials are matching. It utilizes materials which match the existing residence, specifically horizontal siding, shingle roofing, so it blends in pretty seamlessly with the main residence, existing residence. And then this is the, I'll zoom out, we have here on this sheet the existing site plan as well as the archive site plan. And there's a few differences that I'd like to point out. The archives were pretty limited in what they showed. One being the property lines shows rectangular in the archives, whereas existing on site, it's a bit different, as you can see. And then also existing is a covered porch here. The archive site plan, our best guess, it was done a while ago. It was permitted and mostly represents site massing as opposed to much else. This was what we had originally submitted. As Sebastian noted, we will not be proposing this turnaround, and we are actually still working on where the carport is going. So this is all subject to change. But really, we would love to gain feedback on the second story addition, which will show some of the elevations. These are the existing and archive floor plans. It also shows what is proposing to be demoed. And as-built floor plan. So this is what the floor plan currently looks like, along with the second floor here. And then here are the what we believe were the existing elevations. So this is before roughly 1992. And then these are as-built elevations of what it looks like now and what we are proposing to keep. So as you can see, the second story addition is also in the back of the main house, further from street view. I'll go back up to the site plan shortly to show what the backyard of the lot looks like. However, it's a pretty steep slope that goes down to the creek, and really no neighbors on that side that can see anything to do with the addition. And then sections. And then just the electrical layout. So, yeah, just to, oh, and I do want to touch on topography too. One of our goals too is to not touch any existing trees or landscaping on site. And so that's why the note on the driveway and turnaround is important, because we want to, and the carport as well, because we want to minimize anything to do with landscaping. We don't propose to touch any existing trees on site or foliage. One thing to note too is that there is an existing drainage system on site. If the property owner, Eddie, is feeling comfortable enough, I would ask he come join if there's any questions around that, because he built the drainage system and whatnot, and here he comes. Thanks, Eddie.
All right.
Here. There you go. So, I believe that really concludes our presentation. I'm looking forward to questions and feedback.
Okay, if you need it later, you have 10 minutes remaining, and we'll move to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project. If anyone wishes to make a comment, they may fill out a slip and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so, so we will turn our attention to virtual attendance. And at this time, I do not have any hands raised virtually for comment, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this item. So at that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Okay, we'll start with questions from the board. Any questions? Okay, we'll start with, oh, okay. Mhm.
I don't care who goes. Can you, on the south elevation, could you just go to the elevations again? I wasn't seeing the cantilever. I think that the south elevation cantilever's out over, and yeah.
South elevation.
And then
It's
see
seen on
the
the
east?
Yes.
So the east, if you're looking at the south elevation, it's cantilever, and that's where those transom windows are that follow the rake, I think. So if you go to this proposed south elevation, which is the upper right, where's the cantilever?
It looks like a dark line that's just below the dashed. I think because of the hatch of the
Looks like
siding.
it's at the floor level though, but I'm not sure how it could be.
I'm gonna zoom in.
Because
Use the touch screen if that helps. Okay.
No.
Yeah, there's a dark line just below it.
Oh, so
It's a bit unclear.
is
so
the blue
apologies.
line the finished floor level of the upper level?
I believe
The
so.
dashed,
Yeah.
the dashed line is the floor level, so it looks like a few inches of floor framing there?
Yeah, it might
Maybe
be
the
a
photo
graphic
might be a little bit
error,
more
because
Yeah,
on your
Oh, I see
photo,
it.
it
can
looks
also show
like
the
it's
section.
right above the window.
Right, I can also,
Outside.
it's the, yeah, here. Also show the section, if this is helpful.
That doesn't help me, but.
Okay, I'll show the photo.
It's all right. And then there's a house to the rear.
521 Royal.
Yeah, where, can you show me on the site plan the adjacent house
Let's see if it's here.
to the rear of the property?
Right, maybe this would be most helpful. This is aerial shot. I believe 521 would be here, correct?
All the way down, there's like more house.
Oh,
Yeah, down
so
here.
it's behind the neighboring property.
Through the chair to the applicant, I have satellite imagery I can bring up that kind of gives it a bigger site map, because the properties are pretty big up there. Can you switch to my
Great.
screen, please?
Do you have any imagery? Like, it looks like there's some sort of tree vegetation, so I don't even know if you can view that portion of 521 that Vice Chair Sherry's pointing to, but do you have any photos from that viewpoint to see if that, like, is second story is visible to them or they're visible to you?
To clarify,
Yeah,
if
it
you can
looks
see my mouse, are you
Yeah.
asking about here?
Yeah,
It's actually
exactly.
behind the neighbor, not behind them. Now I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all right. I think I'm okay. Go ahead.
All right,
No more questions.
okay.
Any questions?
Just confirming, I think I just saw it in the plan, but so the shipping container to be removed okay, great.
Yeah.
And then I was going to ask you about viewpoints from La Marina, but I don't think so. There's anything there. Let's see. No, I'm good. Thanks.
Board Member Mosley?
Yeah. Can you go, please, to the elevation you're showing the demo,
Of course.
the red dash lines?
Here.
Yeah, and so from my understanding, so this number 14, which is the metal pole, is it already removed or it's gonna be removed?
It's going to be removed.
Can you show us on images? Oh, is it the curved one? It's not?
No, it's
Oh, yeah,
here.
okay. Can you show us on images?
East elevation 1 photo.
Is it on here?
There's a few, scroll down, like through the rest of the neighborhood, and then there might be one in there. If not, I can email one, no problem. Keep going slow, be a little further. Right here, there it
Is
is.
it this
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
where you see the green tarp, just to the right.
Okay.
Yeah, just right here.
And on your elevations, like the second story, you have some notes that says citing the same match existing. Is it going to be updated, the red notes that you have, to the matching siding, or
It's already been
it's
updated.
already because it's an as-built, that's how
Yeah.
you're numbering?
Yeah,
Okay, so
exactly.
there's not going to be any change?
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I think that was all my questions.
Great.
Okay, Board Member Richards?
Sure. And maybe it's a graphic thing, but it seems like your chimney is sitting a little low. And my only concern is, with that second floor being built without a permit, is it at the appropriate height? Is it seismically braced? And as part of, construction, is it going to need to be modified?
Well, I think it's better represented in the photos on site here. It's fortunately not extremely clear, but I believe in the plans we have it cut off here in the elevations.
Okay, so there's an
here.
additional flue that extends up higher.
Yes, that's right. That's right. But we can definitely add that to the plans to better represent that.
Okay, board comments. This is one of the things that I wish could be more streamlined. You've lived with this property for so long that the second story's already existed. And I have no problem with that remaining. I think it will really be helpful, these site photos around when you're showing what is proposed for when you come back for the carport and what is decided for the turnaround. But those are my thoughts. Yeah.
And Chair Lewis, when I was talking with the applicant, just recalling that
because of the nature of this project, and it's been here for a long time, staff couldn't administratively approve it because of the second story. It was just
Yeah.
too big.
I know.
Hopefully with the updates, we won't have to see
Yeah.
projects like this in the future. But another question to pose is if the board would at all consider continuing this to the consent level.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And even, I mean, yes, we don't want people doing second floor stories that are on their own, but, you know, this was 30 years ago and it's such a modest, small piece. But are there other comments from the board?
No additional.
No additional.
Okay. And just that when you come back for consent, it is helpful to have better photos of what's happening there in the front yard to better understand how the new carport will impact the neighbors and any view from the street.
Okay, understood.
Okay.
Would drone photos be okay to do?
Any photo,
Okay.
yeah, anything.
That would be, it's kind of hard logistically.
Oh,
with
got it.
I figured that would probably be the
Got
next
it.
best option.
Yeah,
All right.
anything. Well, and the point is, on one, like, what is actually visible when you're standing on the street, and if you can't see anything, then that's fine.
Right.
So, yeah, okay. I move to continue this project indefinitely to the consent calendar with the following comments. That the board is in support of the as-built second story, as it's been existing for over 30 years, and is a minimal construction on the second story and does not have impacts to neighboring properties
Or public views.
or public views. The board would like to see additional site photos to understand the design of the new carport and turnaround and any impact it may have on the neighbors and view from the public street.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Board Member Graffiti?
Yes.
Board Member Richards?
Yes.
Board Member Moslehy?
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry?
Yes.
Chair Lewis?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. And thank you for your time today.
Great.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, and our last applicant, are they outside? Okay.
I didn't see anybody outside.
Yeah, if we see anyone.
Yeah, point them in.
What is the timeline that we are to wait? It was agendized for 4:50.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, here we go.
Right on time.
Okay. Then our last item here today is a continued item here for project design approval and final approval, 1618 Shoreline Drive. Proposal to permit as-built third-story 425 square foot roof deck to abate ENF 2024-00601, including 95 square feet of flat roof. Project includes removal of an unpermitted spa, relocation of a barbecue, window and door alterations, front yard wall, backyard wall, and reduction of as-built driveway paving. The project qualifies for an exemption from further environmental review. The project was granted administrative coastal exemption on November 19th. Okay, welcome back. I think we all remember the last minutes, but feel free to highlight on them.
First off, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say you have 15 minutes to
Okay,
present,
great.
and if you both state your names for
Sure.
the record again.
Brian Zant, designer for the project, and Dustin Dodgen, applicant. And let's say here, board could not support the solution as designed. Looking for a cohesive railing design that can integrate the two levels of the roof deck or eliminate one of the levels. So Dustin and I met after the meeting and decided that we were kind of fighting against ourselves with the proposed cable railing, although it's a common solution in the coastal area. We felt that maybe it was fighting against each other, which was a comment on the board. When we came up with a solution to do the curved railing in wrought iron, we really liked that because we felt that it fit in more with the character of this Spanish Mediterranean home. So we decided to go in that direction. I want to point out one of the things that we've established that that roof decks are real common in this neighborhood. We've got those Santa Cruz and 130 Santa Rosa. We came across, Dustin was going for a walk, and we came across 1510 Santa Rosa, which was actually reviewed by this board, and watched that meeting, and they had some of the same kind of aspects of design that they were able to resolve with the cohesive design. So we took that as kind of a guidance for what we wanted to do to make a more cohesive and balanced design, specifically to connect those two decks there. We do like this layout that we have here. It's nice for casual use. It's not going to be a big party deck. It's nice casual use. This lower deck area is a really nice place for watching the sunset. And so we're trying our best to incorporate a design here that can still allow us to keep that as-built condition. So what we've decided to do is we've added pilasters. Now, these are darkened in here. Of course, they'd be white stucco to match the existing, but I just kind of wanted to show where we are adding those pilasters. And so we've decided to go with wrought iron railing detail, and we've switched to actual round half-inch posts, pickets, and a very minimal top rail. So still to try to minimize the effect of the view, but still get that character, that Spanish Mediterranean character. There was a rendering that we've decided to kind of put together real quick to show you. Felt that the pilasters were able to close off those railings and give an end point to them without adding too much to the mass and bulk, mass bulk of the property, of the roof deck, excuse me. And felt that that was an elegant solution that fit into the style of the home, the existing style of the home, and even improved it. It also allowed us to come up with an architectural detail to resolve that step down, which was admittedly an issue in our previous proposals. So what we'd like to do is have a curved wrought iron stair railing here with a nice lamb's tongue, and I have a lamb's tongue detail at that wrought iron railing that helps to that transition and actually adds an architectural detail that we kind of find quite handsome. That detail for the lamb's tongue here would be on both sides of the railing. So this is the section cut looking at the lamb's tongue on what would be the eastern side, and then this is that section there. And then this detail shows the section on the western side. We've gone over this project several times, so do you have anything to add, Dustin, or?
No, I just, I'm a lot more excited about the design and the look, and in speaking with my neighbors, I think they supported me as a neighbor before, but I think now they more support as a design concept, and it does, from my view, really improve the design of the house. You know, even better than before. So that's it, and I really appreciate the continued support and really walking through your concerns, because it helped us get here, which we're pretty excited about.
Great, thank you. We'll move to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project. And as there's no one in the audience to comment, we will move on to virtual comment on this project. And I do not have any hands raised for virtual comment on this project. And we did receive written correspondence from Lisa Loggins and Taylor Job. And at that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Great, we'll start with questions from the board. Does anyone have questions? No questions? Okay. I'll start with comments. I was pleased to see this. I wasn't sure what you would come up with, but I personally think the plaster helps to make it a more cohesive design. One of the things that I am wondering is if on the longer side, if it'd be beneficial or not, I'm curious from the board, for the plaster to come up a tiny bit to reduce the amount on the long side of railing, and for the pilasters to come up just like an inch or so that there's a little bit more gap between where the railing hits and the height of the plaster. But I think switching materials does help to introduce those Spanish details into how, you see that kind of curve happen a lot in the way that it can step down. Thoughts from anyone else on the board?
I can't speak to the architectural details as much as all of you, so I would encourage you guys to jump in on that. As the one non-architect, I can say I think this is much better as well, and I really like the design, and I know I've probably pushed a lot more a lot more on it in previous meetings, but I think this is done a lot better. Just as a side note, and I think this is good for our board, like moving forward, because I know a lot of times when decks are brought up or second story or setting, I don't know, context or for other projects, I don't think there's ever really a discussion of if a second story deck is allowed. It's more how it's done, where's the property oriented, how does the public view it, how big is it, what does it look like? So I think everyone is a special circumstance, and it's not just, okay, one was done somewhere, we can kind of do whatever. But I do think that this is a good solution for what you have, and I would be happy to support this today.
I had one comment. I actually like it without the pilasters, but I don't think you need the pilasters, because if you look at the rendering, your proposed rendering versus the existing, I mean, now that I've seen them, I could support it if that's what the board wants, but I think that because there's such a long span between the circular pilaster and then the far eastern pilaster, that it's almost just reading as a wrought iron railing. Usually when we see pilasters, we see them supporting the top rail, the span of the top rail. So, but I don't think it needs any more mass than it already has. So I think that the detail without, either way, whatever you want, I could support it. But I think that without the pilasters, it makes the roof deck more diminutive and just kind of disappears more to me.
Can you go to your south elevation, please, on A 3.1? And zoom in, please. I can support both with pilaster and without. And if you end up keeping the pilasters, I think like what Chair Louise was saying, the long railing, it's hitting where the top of the pilasters are kind of like curved, so it's not like a constructible detail. I can understand that like when you're adding these massing, it's resolving the corner transition railing situation, which was a little bit funky, and it's resolving very good the west elevation that we had, the elevation side, it's helping that, but on the front elevation, the two, I can see like even like having the right one at the end, but maybe like skipping the middle one, if all the details are, if the railing that it's connecting, it's the same height. Now it's like a little bit difference. Regarding, I'm seeing that you have added like a 6-inch curb on top of that curved on the cylinder. And I think from this elevation, I can see that 6-inch, it's added on the long elevation as well.
That's correct.
That's correct. So they're aligning. So I can see from the rendering elevation that we're seeing, like the street view, it's kind of like that railing, because it's taller, it's perceived very taller, and maybe more massing will help. But I think like it's like the way it is now, the 6-inch are aligning, like geometry-wise. I support this, but it's up to you, like keeping the pilaster or not.
Well, I'll point out there, what we have in front of us are the drawings we're either approving for PDA or not. So if it's a change of drawing, they have to come back. So I'll just kind of put that.
I support both ways, just opinions, yeah.
Board Member Richards?
Yeah, sure. I really appreciate all the effort you guys have put into this. I know it's not been straightforward, and but I think at the end of the day, what you guys are presented is really attractive and a great solution for it. I can support the pilasters. I think they add a nice charm and help resolve some of those kind of funky connections. And yeah, I agree that they could come up an inch or two, and it wouldn't be a problem. It would probably help out with constructability, so.
Okay. I move to approve this project for project design approval and final approval, with the condition that the rails hit at the flat part of the pilaster below the curved nosing to provide a reveal.
I'll second that motion.
And I'll do my findings.
Oh, that's right.
Hold on.
Going too fast.
My final findings.
Yeah, our literal final findings. Go for it.
The proposed development is consistent with the scenic character of the city and will enhance the appearance of the neighborhood. The proposed development is compatible with the neighborhood, and its size, bulk, and scale is appropriate to the site and neighborhood. The proposed buildings and structures are designed with quality architectural details. The proposed materials and colors maintain the natural appearance of the ridgeline or hillside. No trees are proposed to be removed. The public health, safety, and welfare are appropriately protected and preserved. The project generally complies with the Good Neighbor Guidelines regarding privacy, landscaping, noise, and lighting. The development, including proposed structures and grading, preserves significant public scenic views of and from the hillside.
That's it.
Great. I'll second that motion.
Chair Lewis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry?
Yes.
Board Member Gaffidy?
Yes.
Board Member Moslahy?
Yes.
Board Member Richards?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I just want to announce the appeal period for that. So if we don't get anything in 10 calendar days from you, since we didn't have any public commenters, you guys can go ahead and submit to Building and Safety. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
And with that, our meeting has ended.
Yeehaw.
Happy New Year.
We did it.
Can't believe it.
Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby, and twist myself at the spine. Don't wanna overthink it, baby. It's just